The decision to move back home weighed heavily on my heart, a consequence of my parents' recent separation and their ongoing struggles to salvage their fractured marriage. The news of my father's suspicions about my mother had shattered our family's foundation. The uncertainty loomed over us like a dark cloud. You see, my mom, 41, and my dad, 47, have always had ups and downs in their 22-year-old marriage. But this time, it is different. It has gotten worse since I moved away for college, and I thought moving back home would help. My younger sister, Sarah, 20, and her boyfriend, Cody, 22, they lived together in one of my dad's rental properties, which wasn't too far from my parents' house. My parents are not the type to share their internal problems, and they try to avoid arguing in front of us. But this time, the rumor is that my dad suspects that my mom was cheating on him. The problem started when my mom discovered a GPS tracker in her car. Who would put it there if not my dad? She confronted him and ended up kicking him out of the house for his constant suspicions that she was cheating on him. My sister confided in me about this, and I felt it's best to move back home and enroll in a local community college, at least for a semester. Perhaps my presence will help them reconcile. We are a tight-knit family, and we love each other, and we work very hard to be there for each other. My dad especially. He's a hard worker and had built a 7-figure revenue construction company from scratch. When he isn't working, he is home. He had a little spot in the backyard that he decked out with a sofa and an entertainment center, and that's where he spent most of his time when he isn't at work. He's a very simple guy. He's very passive, especially at home. Never raises his voice at us at home. But at work, he's disciplined and known as no nonsense when it comes to holding his employees accountable, including me when I was working for him. But at home, mom runs the show. My dad and I normally got along well because we shared the same work ethic. He encouraged me to go to college so I could earn a civil engineering degree that would increase the opportunity for his business to get more lucrative contracts. While I would not consider us super wealthy, he had more than enough to support the family and close relatives. He pays for us to take vacations 2 times a year at least. And because he is so dedicated at his work, he will send us out on a vacation, sometimes outside the country, and wouldn't join in. Cody, my sister's current boyfriend, at some point was my best friend growing up. We are the same age. We became friends in middle school, and he used to stay over my house so often that he became family. We would bring him along on vacations. He began dating my sister behind my back, and I wasn't too pleased about it when I found out. But my parents and sister accepted it. My sister and my mom, to be precise. I later came around when I saw how much my sister loved him, but our friendship would never be the same. I thought it was a betrayal since they have been sleeping together behind my back long before I caught them, and they came clean only when I caught him making out with my sister in her room when he was supposed to be taking a bathroom break. What made it worse was how I caught them and the drama that ensued after that, and how he manipulated his way back to my family. This happened when we were 19. He came to my house that very day because he promised to assist me on a classic car rebuild. That was always our passion because we love classic muscle cars and dreamt of building a collection. While we were working on the car, he excused himself to use the bathroom. Realizing that he was taking too long, I went to check on him, but he wasn't in the guest bathroom. I went looking for him in my sister's room because I knew they were fond of each other, but I didn't expect that they were intimate. That was how I caught them making out. I confronted him about it and wound up kicking him out of our house and telling him never to come back. My sister was 17 at the time. She tried to protect him, attempted to stop him from leaving, getting into my face, saying that Cody had as much right as me to be in my father's house. Well, she failed, and I kicked him out. After he left, the spoiled brat continued to raise her voice at me, claiming she was old enough to choose who she wanted to sleep with. I felt different. The humiliation of the whole thing and the boldness at which she was standing up to me forced me to teach her a lesson that my mom and dad failed to do. I slapped her 3 times and gave her a minor cut on her lips that didn't require any stitches. Being the spoiled brat that she was, when my parents came home that day, she exaggerated the extent of her injury to gain sympathy. She rubbed the blood from her lips all over her shirt, and she refused to change it till my parents got home. so she could claim that I beat the hell out of her and kicked Cody out like I'm some bully, failing to mention what I caught them doing. Well, it worked. When my parents came home, she put on an act and continued to cry 6 hours after the event happened. When my mom saw the blood, she forgot that Cody had been banging her daughter in secret and had her as one of his side pieces at the time, even though she was 17. My mom was very angry at me. She thought I overreacted. Why my dad pretended that he was mad at me to make my mom and sister happy. He told me that I did the right thing in private. I felt like he should have stood up for me, but years of living with my mom had made him passive and afraid of her. My younger sister was able to convince my mom to force me to reconcile with Cody, and Cody was accepted back into the family. It wasn't that clear to me at the time why my mom liked Cody so much, but I assumed that it was because we have known him since he was 11 years old, and we have invited him to multiple vacations that we have been on. His parents weren't as privileged as mine, as they are willing to allow him to stay with my family. After the whole drama, I never trusted him again. I became suspicious of him and never let him close, even though I pretended as if we were cool for my parents' sake. My sister saw him as her Prince Charming, and my mom saw him as her long-lost son-in-law. I had to deal with it and endure seeing him around. I felt like it was my fault for bringing a snake into my family. Now he's dating my younger sister and had a nice paying job working in my dad's company thanks to my mom's influence. Don't get me wrong, I am not a controlling brother, and I don't care who my sister dates. If Cody was an outsider, I wouldn't have minded him dating her. It's just that I knew that he was dating a few other girls at the time, and I felt like he didn't have good intention for my sister. My mother even convinced my dad to hire him to a prominent role in my dad's construction business that he wasn't qualified to do, and I had to hold his hands multiple times when I was working in the business before I went back to college for my engineering degree. I went back to school to get a degree in civil engineering so I would earn a professional license to bid on more lucrative contracts to grow the business. My mom works as one of the managers in charge of the administrative and accounting function, even though she had no degree and was not qualified to be in charge of those departments. But since the business was on autopilot, her role was merely ceremonial. Moreover, my dad wants the business to be family-oriented. I disagree. I think you should only hire people that are qualified. We are running a business, not a charity organization. Any business that hires based on nepotism wouldn't last very long. Back to the present. It hasn't been long since I moved into a good university, a few-hour drive away from home, so I still had some electives that I could take if I transfer back at a community college for at least one semester, enough time to bring my parents back together. A few weeks after I returned, my mom and dad were able to settle their differences, and dad moved back home. After dad moved back into the house, there was still tension in the air. I still felt like things weren't right between my parents. I felt like they were just acting nice because we were around and we were putting so much effort to see that they don't separate. I knew the reason for their recent separation was partly because my dad didn't trust my mom and suspect that she's not faithful. My dad and I are close, but we don't talk about things like that. We don't gossip or talk negatively about any family member. My younger sister, on the other hand, will talk about those things with my mom and dad. One night, my dad was in the backyard watching TV. We had an outdoor entertainment area where he enjoyed relaxing when he is home. I joined him in the backyard where he was sitting on the outdoor couch. We were drinking while watching a basketball game when he told me that he was glad that I returned home and he appreciated what I was doing to bring the family back together. I used the opportunity to ask private questions that I haven't asked him before, and to my surprise, he went deeper than I thought he would. What he revealed to me would come to change my life forever. It was almost like he was waiting for me to be old enough to ask him those questions. He felt like he needed to talk to someone, and that was the perfect time to ask that question. My dad told me that he had been here before, when my younger sister and I were still toddlers, and he just started his then struggling construction business because he wanted a better future for his growing family. My mom was working at a retail store back then. She began to cheat on him with a co-worker. When my dad found out, he asked for a divorce. My mom moved in with her co-worker while they both struggled to co-parent. My dad struggled to maintain his growing business while raising a family as a single dad. When he realized that he couldn't maintain both at the time, he decided to take my mom back in, and they reconciled. In return, she broke things off with the coworker and quit her job to become a stay-at-home mom. My dad grew up in a broken and poor home. He was determined not to allow us to grow up the way he did, which is why he was so obsessed about his family. He decided he didn't want more children with my mom, partly because of her cheating, and the abandonment traumatized him in such a way that he couldn't explain to me. When the business started becoming successful, he decided to hire my mom since we were growing up and she was getting bored at home, doing nothing. Then a few months ago, more than 18 years after she cheated on him, he started noticing similar signs as he did more than 18 years ago. Signs that she was cheating on him. You know, the normal signs that you read about on this forum. Getting mad at him for the slightest thing, arguing a lot, dead bedroom, saying she's always tired when he initiates intimacy, sleeping in separate bedrooms for no obvious reasons, prefers spending time on her phone than with my dad. Unbeknownst to my mom, my dad hired a private investigator to follow her around. The private investigator found out the only places she visits is my sister's house, work, and home. Nothing seemed amiss, so he called off the private investigator and decided to install a GPS tracker. Unfortunately, my mom found the GPS tracker and rightfully assumed it was my dad, suspecting her of cheating because they have been through it over the years. She made our home uninhabitable for Dad, gaslighting him, accusing him of being the one cheating, threatening to divorce him and destroy his business. Dad was at his wit's end. That was when I transferred back home from college. So my sister and I swooped in to save the day. Divorce averted. Family union saved. Family business saved. That was the first time I heard that my mom and dad divorced and reconciled. They have kept it a secret from us, and I was too young to remember. That provided some context to the ups and downs in their marriage and answered the question that have plagued me for a while. I was sure my sister didn't know about my mom's previous affair. After my dad's disclosure, I began to see my parents' marriage in a new light. My mom, once seen as innocent, wasn't anymore. I could see her cheating on my dad. I could see her manipulating him and everyone around her because that was what she was good at. She always tried to make herself more important than she actually was and is more concerned about how people saw her. Even at work, everyone that reports to her felt the same way. But regardless, she's my mom and I had sympathy for her and I wanted my parents' marriage to work. I wanted things to be as idealistic as I remembered, not as they really are. July 4th, 2022, family pool party. I have been staying with my parents at their house, working part-time in the business, trying to finish some elective at the community college. Now that my dad and mom are back together, Dad went to a parade with Grandpa, who was a Vietnam vet, and a few other veterans and employees to celebrate Independence Day and promote the business. My younger sister, her friend, my girlfriend, and Cody were in the pool swimming. Mom was sunbathing with her mom, my grandma. I was the pit master. I was in charge of the barbecue, making sure that there was enough meat for everyone, including some family members that were coming to visit during the evening. While I was barbecuing, I realized I was running low on charcoal and there were some bags that were stored in the garage. So as I was walking towards the garage to get some charcoal, I heard noises coming from the laundry room. We used the laundry room as a changing room, so it wasn't unusual for someone to be there. But I thought everyone was at the pool. I approached the laundry room door and knocked. When I tried to open it, my mom hollered, saying she was changing. When I left the pool, I thought she was sunbathing. Realizing that it was her, I started walking away towards the garage. As I walked away, I saw Mom from my peripheral walk out the laundry room as I went about my business of getting the charcoal from the garage. On my way back, not even a minute later, I saw Cody leaving the laundry room. Not even a minute after my mom left the laundry room. It was clear as day what was going on. The snake is at it again. That was when I knew my mom was having an affair with Cody. Unlike before, I didn't act erratic or become violent. I didn't catch them kissing or having excess. But when two people leave the same room within a minute of each other and they were both wearing a bathing suit, you don't need to be smart to draw a conclusion, especially knowing the antecedent of those two. Especially after the story my dad told me a few months back and the history of Cody slithering his way in my sister's pants and now my mom is his next target. No wonder the private investigator my dad hired wasn't able to find anything. That's because the perpetrator was an insider. Clearly, the deed was being done either at my parents' house or my sister's place, where she lives with her boyfriend, Cody. Ironically, the private investigator actually proved that she was cheating, but the final piece of the puzzle hasn't been put together till now. Looking back, it should have been obvious. When we went on multiple vacations with him, my sister, and my mom, I could remember how many times both of them went missing. It must have been going on for a very long time, maybe before he started dating my sister, which made me sick. I went back to the barbecue pit and continued like nothing happened, all the while thinking of how to expose both of them in such a way that doesn't destroy my family. I waited till after July 4th when I disclosed to my dad what I witnessed. It all made sense to him. All the while, he had been paying for my mom to go on vacation with her affair partner, and she was fine without him going. Made sense to him why she didn't care then, but insists that Cody come along. I am sure my younger sister wasn't aware of the affair. My dad was livid and wanted to use this information to confront my mom. I discouraged my dad from doing so because he didn't have enough information to confront my mom, as seeing two people coming out of a room could mean anything but speculation and a high chance of deniability. We came up with the idea to rig cameras all over my parents' house and my sister's house as well. The house my sister and Cody, her boyfriend, lives in belongs to my dad, so he had the keys to the house. With my help, my dad installed cameras in both houses, and we waited to see what happens. Not even a week later, we looked through the cameras, and sure enough, I was correct. We saw proof of my mom having excess with Cody on multiple occasions. It really broke my dad to confirm what he suspected. We took a one-day fishing trip together to calm him down before confrontation. On that trip, we decided not to expose my mom to my sister, but use the information as leverage during divorce proceedings. Additionally, my dad wanted me to act like I was not aware of her affair, so he would use it as an additional leverage to get a more favorable divorce settlement. After we returned home from the fishing trip, my dad hired a divorce lawyer and they drafted a divorce agreement. To summarize the divorce agreement written by my dad and his lawyer, it guaranteed mom an alimony for 22 years on an amount he determined as fair, which was significantly less than what she was legally entitled. He gave her 2 out of his 13 rental properties. She would move out of the family home. She would quit the family company without any retirement or severance package and would not touch his Roth IRA. In return, her secret will be kept from my sister and me. The reason for their divorce would officially be that they couldn't reconcile their differences. Needless to say, my dad didn't sign a non-disclosure agreement, so her end of the deal is not enforceable because it's not legally binding, and the divorce agreement, however, was. I don't think my dad would have gotten a better divorce settlement if he hadn't held the affair as a bargaining chip. Few months after the divorce settlement was signed, Cody was fired from the job, and I broke the sad news about my mom's affair with Cody to my sister with a level of satisfaction because I warned her about him. Cody was kicked out of my dad's property where he was staying with my sister, and my sister broke up with him. To this day, my sister's relationship with my mom has never been the same. My mom now lives alone in one of the rental properties, and I have returned to school. I was the only one that wasn't affected emotionally by the affair. I still maintain the same relationship with my mom and visit her when I return home from school. Nothing changed in our relationship, but her and my sister are now fire and water. Throughout all this, my dad stayed above the fray. He has gone no contact with my mom, and my mom does her best to reach out, but continued to be ignored by my dad and sister. I have never seen him so happy. I tried my best to maintain a good relationship with every one of my family members, being the family referee. Deep inside, I miss how we used to be, even though it was all a lie and at the expense of my dad's happiness. And the snake, Cody, I was right, that without my family, he is nothing. He is currently going to school to become a mechanic. I taught him everything he knew about cars, and that would be a significant downgrade in pay, going from a project manager to a mechanic. He tried, but wasn't able to get the same position anywhere else. because that position requires a college degree. Goes to show that the only thing he is good at is being a womanizer. Thank you for staying to the end of this story. Please share your opinion in the comment section. Like and subscribe to the video if you haven't done that already. Thank you and have a wonderful day.